ibuku percaya takkan ada batas untuk mimpiku bergerak, belajar, tumbuh jadi pelita, terangi langkah ceria. Saat aku membuka mata, mengenal indahnya dunia, melangkah bersama, berkarya untuk Indonesia. Sekolah Cikal jadi sekolah kita. Disinilah tempat mata hatiku terbuka. Takkan ada hati belajar bila tak bisa menjadi arti untuk sesama, temani langkah mulia. Saat aku membuka mata, mengenal indahnya dunia, melangkah bersama, berkarya untuk Indonesia. Sekolah Cikal jadi sekolah kita. Jadilah warga dunia, pribadi bahagia, ajak hati belajar merdeka. Asahlah dirimu menjadi berdaya, buka hati dan mata, cerdas bermakna. Rumah kedua kita. Saat aku membuka mata, mengenal indahnya dunia, melangkah bersama, berkarya untuk Indonesia. Sekolah Cikal jadi sekolah kita. Membuka mata, mengenal indahnya dunia, melangkah bersama, berkarya untuk Indonesia. Sekolah Cikal jadi sekolah kita.
Hello, my name is Felix.
And my name is Rio.
My name is Rafi. My name is Mayor.
My name is Nadia. My name is Azra. Hello everyone. My name is Rafaela Pelema. I'm from Malaysia. My name is Damai.
My name is Kina.
And welcome to our personal project.
Good morning, school director, teachers, distinguished guests, and participants. Welcome to the personal project exhibition, Sekolah Cikal Surabaya. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nadia, and I will be the host for today's personal project exhibition, Arts section. Personal project is a combination of students' learning, which highlights the students' freedom to express interest in the area of prior learning at school. Before we start today's session, I would like to invite Mr. Hasto Bidakso as the school director of Sekolah Cikal Surabaya to give us a welcoming speech. To Mr. Hasto, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Nadia. Good morning, dear students, parents, teachers, and all school community. It's such a good day to celebrate student learning process in personal project. And as you know, personal project is the student culminations of a learning journey which leads them to independently lead the project. The project is initiated by the students, and the whole process of project making is also done by the student and supervised by the teachers. And the topic for this year is rising beyond the pandemic crisis and is related to the current situation. The project asks the student to explore beyond the personal and the school boundaries as they need to gain valid information from reliable sources. COVID pandemic is really a great challenge for all. However, regular virtual and offline meetings with the supervisor and expert have been conducted during the process. The student experience various learning skills such as self-management skill, research skill, and communication skill. And as a school, Sekolah Cikal continuously nurtures students with the competency that they need to fulfill their future goals and facing future challenges. Again, let me express my gratitude to all the students who showed great commitment and enthusiasm during the process. I wish you luck defining your success and, of course, transforming beyond together with us. Of course, my biggest thanks to parents, teachers, and experts who support and encouragement during the journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hasta, for your inspirational speech. Let's start the students' presentation, shall we? For those audience who want to ask questions to the presenter, you can directly type them in the chats. It will be answered later on in the Q&A session. Our first presenter, we have Azra Azara. She will present her personal project with the title of Design Mask. To Azra, the time is yours.
All right, thank you, Nadia. So, according to the World Health Organization, most people who are infected with the virus will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness and recover without requiring special treatment. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, or even breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to small airways. Hi, my name is Azra. In this personal project, I wanted to bring up more information related to design and COVID-19. So as you can see here, we have the data on medical mask waste in our surroundings from 2019 to 2022. According to the World Health Organization, I found that as of 10 November 2021, the government of the Republic Indonesia have reported 4 million patients confirmed COVID-19. There have been 1,000 deaths related to COVID-19 reported, and 4 million patients have recovered from the disease. WHO is working with the Indonesian government to monitor the situation and prevent the further spread of the disease. So in 2019, the world was shocked by the coronavirus. Coronavirus is a virus that attacks the respiratory system. To avoid this coronavirus, the government has made a policy to always wear a mask when leaving the house, but some people still ignore it. Some of the reason is because it's uncomfortable when wearing a mask, and some people believe that masks can't really protect us from the virus. These are the reasons why I wanted to bring up this topic for my personal project. Focusing to the design, I hope that people can feel comfortable when wearing masks and want to obey government policies so as to suppress the spread of the COVID-19 virus. So my learning goal in this project is I wanted to share more about my understanding of design, and I wanted to share with others the goods for the new generation. As I mentioned before, that mask waste in Indonesia is overloaded, and with the mask waste, there are some people who are using and reselling it. The problem, it can cause more virus to the surroundings and COVID become endless. This issue really inspired me to try new things in this project. To achieve my goal, I conducted an interview with Mr. Rizky. These are the three main questions from the interview, as well as the meeting footage with Mr. Rizky. In the interview session, we shared a lot about material, size, process, and the design itself, and more. So let's move on to the project success criteria. The first one, we have the function. So for me, design really matters. For better protection, I have to make sure that my design won't make any gap between our face and the mask itself. And I will put extra space to put filters so that it won't allow germs and bacteria to affect us easily. Second, we have aesthetic. After doing some research, I found out that there are still a lot of masks that are still using random fabric, so it doesn't actually protect us from the bacteria. From a simple design, I hope that I can make people comfortable wearing it yet safe. Last but not least, we have the mask. And in this case, I reopen my analysis from the interview I've talked about earlier. And here's the final project. In this project, my target audience is teen and the early adults. For teen, they prefer plain masks for the aesthetic and not pattern, and for the adults, they wanted a simple design yet safe to wear because most of the people they often meet more people rather than the younger age. So here are the main two challenges. The first one is the time management. Second, it's my first time making a mask, and due to COVID, it's really challenging for me because I have to sew the mask myself, so there are no one-on-one sessions, and I can't do an offline interview with the guest speaker. And for the solution, as I mentioned before, this is my first time making masks, and I've never experienced it before. And due to online learning, it's harder for me to learn and observe more. In this case, I conducted an interview to help me learn and observe more for the better understanding. And for the time management, I made a timeline earlier so that my schedule is organized. For the reflection, the further project itself, I think I'm satisfied with the result. It was pretty challenging, but I'll take this as a new lesson so that for the next project I can do better at managing my time so that I can observe deeper about my project. And to improve my learning for the next project, maybe I can set up my timetable earlier so that my timeline is organized and I hope that I can plan things as needed. I think that's it for my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Azra, for your great presentation. A general reminder to the audience, if you would like to ask a question, you can type it in the chat box of our live stream. Our next presenter, we have Diandra Alia Danish. Danish will present her personal project with the topic of inclusive design. Danish, the time is yours.
Thank you, Nadia. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sandra Alia Danish, and I would like to take this opportunity to share more about my personal project titled Inclusive Design, Embracing Accessibility for Users with Vision Impairment. So it starts with the idea of inclusivity itself. So inclusivity principles define as the design of mainstream products and or service accessible and usable by the widest audience or populations. And it aims to first remove barriers, second to engage equal participation, and lastly creating places where everyone can use. Moving on to the principles of inclusive designs, there are plenty of principles of inclusive designs, but there are 5 that relates to me the most. So the first one is to notice diversity and differences. It means to understand barriers and understand the user's needs. And the second is responsive. It means to address and deliver users' needs and wants. The third is flexible or flexibility, which refers to the ability to adapt to the constant changing environment, while people can figure new ways and alternative to use our products or services. The fourth is accommodating, which means to accommodate and embrace all users with equal terms and break down our barriers. And lastly is convenient, which means convenient and enjoyable to use for everyone, where the users use it with no effort or too many effort. Moving on to addressing design needs for vulnerable users, it means to uncover the inclusive concept means to amplify unheard voices, to acknowledge that design have the ability to address crucial matters and today's world problems, and by prioritizing accessibility and functionality to accommodate human differences. And because of vulnerable users, they're struggling to gain access to service and products in the design industries, and due to the emergence of aesthetic trends through various forms, which create barriers to establish functionality and prioritize accessibility. Moving on to my target audience, which I try to narrow my target audience down. It starts with children aged 2 to 6 years old, which they are in a pre-operational stage, where they're learned to symbolic representation and experience-based knowledge, and I try to narrow it down with children with vision impairment and color blindness, of type deuteranopia and protanopia, which means it refers to a color blindness type characterized by the inability to distinguish the color red and green pigments, thus they can only recognize and notice the color of blue and yellow tone. Moving on to my timeline of achieving this inclusive design, I started with in August, which to identify the areas of interest, I determined the theme as well as my global context. Moving on to September, I tried to find experts in the relevant fields and determine my product criteria. And on October, I tried to do a concept sketching of my tactile book concept and attempt to create the prototype base. On November, I tried to do a methodological research for product evaluations. I tried to interview my design expertise, and I tried to complete my prototype base. And lastly, on December, I tried to do progress on my technical prototype and tried to collect relevant resources from the internet as well as my interview and personal project report finalization. For my product criteria, given that functionality played an essential role in this project and design in general, I tried to establish several product criteria by considering the principles of design needed to fulfill its purpose. The first is aesthetic, which means to employ effective visual design components such as textures, colors, and materials. Second is users or audience, which means product design suitable for a specific set of audience that I have set. And the third is function, which means to fulfill its purpose in terms of accessibility and inclusivity of between engagement and education. Fourth is content, which means the quality of content is required to deliver the message effectively, which means it indicates clear and comprehensive content, which allows to display any relevant information that I'm trying to deliver to the users. The fifth is reliability. It means to fulfill its function as required when exposed to a set of conditions, such as when the product to be exposed to wet conditions or the level of comfort when it is used from the users. The sixth is safety. If the product demonstrates safety standards in terms of components, design structures, and many more. And last is size, which means it's travel friendly and practical to carry around. For my 8L skills, I use research plan. It means to conduct and identify any relevant elements related to the design principles I have set, and simultaneously to answer the following questions, which how can design contribute to developing accessible products for users with disabilities? So there are two types of research that I've done. The first one is independent research, where I list several questions, such as starting from the basic with what is vision impairment, and second, how can we communicate our ideas effectively to minimize the issues? And lastly is how can both visual and experience spotlight the missing links of constructing products of needs for people with disabilities or vulnerable users. And for my second type of research is I tried to do an interview from a design expertise. I interviewed Mr. Zendi, which he is a product development manager at Polygon Indonesia. So I tried to collect further details on the design requirements, the idea of inclusive design principles, and suggest any improvement needed for my final product. For my design process, tactile book, first I tried to determine the materials needed to create the final product. I tried to list down the blocks, the captions that I'm going to use, the details such as the materials that I'm going to use, and the final product and content for each block of the tactile book. So here is the digital sketch of my final product. And to my design process, there are 5 types of sensories. The first one is animals, the second is guitar strings, the third is beats, the fourth is cotton, and the fifth one is fur. As you can see here that I tried to customize the color for color blindness of type deuteranopia and protanopia, which they can only distinguish and recognize the color blue and yellow. So here is actually one of the example of my final product, which here you can see there are textures, and at the bottom there are braille tiles, and on top of them are the captions or poems or stories that I use to help the students or children through their learning process. For my product evaluations, I use the double diamond model. So it is actually a design process model or a visual framework that allows designers to explore various problems and solutions in the industries, and it is the most effective way to create a meaningful experience for users. It comprises and organized into 4 stages. The first one is discover, the second is define, the third is develop, and last is deliver. So I've tried to break it down of my product evaluation from the double diamond model. For the discover, I tried to see and recognize the existing barriers of accessibility and functionality on products for multiple users. And on define, I tried to define my target audience, which are children aged 2 to 6 years old with vision impairment and color blindness to have access to optimized visual learning experience. The third is develop. I tried to develop my product into providing an inclusive learning tool or device to children's interpretation and embrace their process. And fourth is deliver, which I need to create a learning tool that utilizes children's tactile and sensory system. So as my product evaluation, they have fulfilled several given design criteria, such as products, users or audience, function, reliability, and safety. There still need to address several design criteria in terms of content and size because I want to enable children to experience the joy of learning through play and without regular or conventional teaching methods. And the challenges that I faced throughout this personal project is to create the Braille tile for each of the blocks, and as well as the accuracy and reliability of the Braille tile itself, considering its vital provision of access to written words. And that have marked the end of my presentations. If you have any suggestions, feedbacks, or questions, you're welcome to ask. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Danish, for your great presentation. It was really fascinating to bring such a great topic to design. Our third presenter, we have Alucius Felix Susanto. Felix will present his personal project about streaming startups. So, Felix, the time is yours.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Aloysius Flexus Santo, but you can call me Felix. My personal project is titled Streaming Startup, which is about live streaming. And to simplify, live streaming is about broadcasting a digital media in real time. So, a favorite hobby of mine is live streaming, which is my personal project topic. And it also becomes my learning goal because I want to implement the skills that I learned as a streamer to help me in my personal project journey. The global context I chose is fairness and development because it is about the rights and responsibilities of sharing resources with others, similar to my personal interests in live streaming, where I was introduced to it by other people. And with that said, my product goal is to be able to share my passion and let others know of live streaming. So at first, my product was going to be a live stream where I discuss my journey on live streaming, but I had my doubts that it was the most effective method for me to achieve my learning goal as well as product goal. So my plan B is a video where I discuss the advantages and disadvantages of live streaming, because I noticed that this is one of the topics that not many people have talked about yet. And I uploaded the video onto YouTube, so if you like to watch it, then you may scan the QR code on the screen. My inspiration for my product comes from a favorite streamer slash YouTuber of mine, Stream Scheme. And the kind of content he does are streaming tips and tricks, such as how to grow your audience, what are the best gear for live streaming, tutorials, etc. And he implements those skills into his live stream, which I really admire. So it just shows that the stuff he does on his YouTube isn't just for show. I divided my product success criteria into three parts, which are planning, that includes my research, script, schedule, and layout for my product. Second is content, which is the information I'll be discussing in my product since it is the main point. And third is the aesthetics, which is the editing side, such as the quality of a video as well as the necessary edits. For me to achieve my learning goal, I use two ADL skills: communication on interaction and language, and research on media literacy. I already had my plans thought out for my product because this is actually something that I wanted to do before personal project. But I still do want to gain as much information as I can, so I watch and listen to others' opinion and interviewed a couple of my streamer friends. And having my product as a video, my skills as a streamer, which is communication mainly, will come in handy, and hence I achieve my learning goal. Efficiency was giving me the most trouble in order for me to achieve my product goal, mostly on the script making part, because I can't have my product too long nor too short. So I spend a lot of time simplifying the words without removing any less valuable information. But in the end, I managed to end up with a suitable duration using an ATL skill of thinking on creative and critical. So overall, in my personal project, I have one challenge, which is time management. Since I have summatives and procrastination that hinders me a lot, that keeps on making me delay my project. However, I managed to overcome it by multitasking. So when I have multiple assignments at once, I tend to do all of it little by little, so I know that I made progress, even if it's just a small amount, and it makes me to not be under pressure. It's been 4 months since I uploaded my product onto YouTube, and there weren't many comments, but judging by the amount of likes as well as feedback from my friends, they enjoyed it and thought it was useful information. So I am very glad with that. And for my project overall, I think I did well enough regarding the amount of time that I had. However, there are still things that I would want to improve as well as add to my project. However, I am pretty satisfied with the result. And this is my journal for my personal project. So in total, I spent 4 months and 11 days to complete my personal project, from figuring out the topic until submitting the project report. And this marks the end of my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening and have an amazing day ahead.
Thank you, Felix, for your presentation. It is really cool and unique to learn about the world of streaming. Moving on to the next presenter, we have Lefia Magdalena. Lefia will present her personal project about productivity through melodies and visuals. To Lefia, the time is yours.
So hello everyone. So today I want to presentation about making a scrapbook. So today I want to present, but I will explain briefly so it's not too long. So the first about my running goals. Uh, when I got this assignment, I found it difficult to choose a topic. The first topic is choose was about pets, but in the middle of doing this text is I got new idea, namely how to make a scrapbook from this activity which I had done long before the text, personal project planning. Initially, I made a scrapbook just to fill my spare time at home. I started to like this activity when I saw how to make interesting scrapbook. After I did some experiment, I turned out that this activity was very fun and was able to improve my mood and be able to relieve my stress. My goal is scrapbooking is to hone my creative skills, make good use of my free time, and be able to save some of my memories. So we will next the topic. The second is my planning. My research plan is very useful because scrapbooking is a positive activity from everyone to do. Initially, I made a scrapbook just to fill my spare time at home, but from time to time, I find that making the scrapbook is so very fun and can make me feel calm when my heart is not feeling well. There are many tools and material that must be prepared to make a scrapbook. The tools and material need are special book for making a scrapbook. The material is, for example, stickers, vintage paper, craft paper, photos, and direct flowers, good tape, scissors, washi tape, pen, stamps, sticker, quotes, and etc. So this is my product success criteria. I have a three product success criteria. The first is function. I can share my feeling both happy and sad feeling, be able to channel positive energy to everyone who makes scrapbook that I make. And the second is aesthetic. I wanted to make sure the colors, decoration, and writing match how I felt when I was scrapbooking at the time. And the last success criteria is animation. I want to make a function of a scrapbook the same as a teenager diary in general. In a diary, we have to read first to be able to know and feel the emotion contained. But if in a scrapbook, we can immediately feel the emotion of the author by looking at the decoration without having to read. So this is my ATL skills. In order to achieve my learning objective to understand how to convey and measure through a scrapbook, I had to prepare and do a lot of research. So this is my applying skill. To be honest, I made a scrapbook. It was not easy because coming up with ideas and finding ways to make them look good and was quite difficult. I overcome that difficulty looking for reference on the social media such as YouTube and Instagram. So while working on this scrapbook, my creativity was honed and my ability to find ideas so also developed. I also run to manage time because making this scrapbook is quite time consuming. So this is my last topic, my reflection. I was surprised to learn that actually run more through scrapbooking and tutorial how to make beautiful decoration that through reading books and website because scrapbooking is quite fun project to work on wonderful things human can create to express themselves and tell story and ideas. We can make important thing like quotes or diaries to tell a story and express emotion and motivate other with them. So I think my presentation is that all. I'm sorry if my presentation have nervous or flawless. If you have any question and feedback, just tell me, okay?
Thank you, Lefia, for your presentation. A general reminder to the audience, if you'd like to ask a question, you can type it in the chat box of our live stream. Our next presenter will be Rafelsha Giza Faristia Alianiza. Felsha will present her personal project about sustainable fashion. So, Felsha, the time is yours.
Thank you, Nadia. Hi, everyone. My name is Rafael Shagiza. I want to presentation about my personal project, Sustainable Movement. What is it and why it matters? What is sustainable fashion? Sustainable fashion is a movement to make the earth a better place. Sustainable fashion also has a large climate change footprint, and if we can to tackle it, we can remake clothes that are no longer in use and use eco-friendly fashion. The fashion industry must deal with immediately. If we don't address the negative impacts of the fashion industry, we won't have an industry in the future. Why I chose this topic? I want to make the earth better. Fashion industry leave a huge carbon footprint for the environment, so we have to use fabric that promote sustainability, support the use of materials that are free from chemicals. Second, prevent and reduce water pollution. Textile coloring includes several harsh chemicals. In developing countries, chemicals are usually dumped into rivers, often by the river which is only source of water for village and wildlife is affected by the toxic water flow. As a result, many people are sick and forced to leave their village. Preserve Preserve the extents of animals. Make sure to buy items that free from animal cruelty. Learning goal: prevent environmental damage. We must prevent environmental damage caused by the accumulation of clothing materials that are difficult to decompose. Increase the production of clothes made with recycled textile material. We must increase the production of clothes made with recycled textile materials to prevent environmental pollution. Global contact, globalization, and sustainability. Human impact on the environment, consumption, conservation, natural research, and public goods. Product success criteria. I want more product to be useful and people are more interested and more people interested in switching to use tote bag instead of plastic materials. The function of tote bag is reduce the use of plastic so as not to pollute the environment. The material for tote bag, I use my old jeans. I use my old jeans to reduce the accumulation of fashion waste that can pollute the environment. My product. The reason I choose tote bag is to reduce the use of plastic which can pollute the environment, and also I want to use my old jeans to be function and something functionable which is tote bag. And here's my product. Skill application, taking skill and research skill. Challenge and solution. Challenge is my first time to swing, so it's a little bit difficult for me. The solution, I watched the video to know how to sail.
and make an attractive design. The solution looking for a reference. Reflection. I made a look back on this personal project. This is my first time making a personal project and I'm confused about what to do. I feel I can work this to the last date. I hope my product can be useful for the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia, for your presentation. Your products looks amazing, by the way. Thank you all your 10 students for your awesome presentations on such a diverse topic. Our next agenda will be the Q&A sessions. We have collected several questions from the chat box and will be answered by the presenters. Okay, let's start the Q&A session. For Azure, this question is still for you. It is from Hisham Amadeo. He asked that what is the psychological impact to children and are the material that you use, is it safe for children?
Okay, thank you for the question. Like what I said earlier, this design are not for kids, but for the protection, for me, kids don't really need um, people that often, so it's quite safe for them, and it's just a matter of the size.
Thank you, Nadia, for the question. I haven't tested this product on kids with vision impairment yet, but I would love, if I have the opportunity, I would love to create the real form of my product prototype and distribute it to my target audience, which is children of age 2 to 6 years old with diagnosed with vision impairment or vision loss and color blindness. And I would actually use a more sustainable materials for my final product, and it will be presented as a learning tools or devices for children or vulnerable users.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is for Felix. It is from Samudra Timur. Which do you think is more worth it to do, streaming or regular content creations, like normal YouTube videos with edits? Yeah.
Well, the answer is based on you yourself, on like what you prefer. Since live streaming is like a presentation and a video, well, you just upload the content without looking at other people's opinion. However, for me personally, I prefer live streaming since it takes way less time to perform rather than a video. Since in a video, you have to plan ahead for the video and then you have to do the recording. And then lastly, you have to edit the video to make it look nicer.
Okay, thank you. There is actually another question from Fernanda. What is the social impact of your project to the society around you? Also, how does it affect on an education spectrum? And will it make education easier?
Well, as I said, that live streaming is like a presentation. So I guess, well, to me, it definitely helped myself since I have better communication skills as well as interaction skills. So it could help in most subjects in school.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the question for Lefia. It is from Bella Angeline. What is the impact of this product on society around you? Also, how does conventional scrapbooks compete with digital ones? Is there an advantage of making it conventional rather than digital?
In my opinion, this scrapbook useful for venting bad feeling by including if motivational word that match what you are experiencing. And for conventional scrapbook compared with digital ones, I think the average scrapbooking use manual, and the last is there advance to making it conventional over digital. I think it's more conventional to use conventional to use conventional methods because it can make use clamor in our feeling. I hope it's clearly.
Okay, thank you. And next is a question for Felsha. How does your product compete with branded commercial products? How do you make people prefer this product than the branded ones? Felsha, can you hear me? Okay, okay. I think Felsha is having a little bit of trouble, so this question is for Felix. How will you extend your live streaming ability to spread good information about Indonesia?
Well, live streaming is done globally, and people can usually learn a lot of things in live streaming, such as before, as I said, communication skills, creativity, interaction, and some people actually learn different languages from live streaming. So I guess that can spread good information about the people of Indonesia, showing on how creative they are, as well as intelligence.
Okay, thank you. And there is actually another question for Olivia. How does scrapbook help teens to express their feelings?
I think, according to me, a way to find their feeling on this scrapbook, we have to find the appropriate quotes and sticker. Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And can we go back to Felsha? Are you able to hear me? So the question is, how does your product compete with branded commercial products? How do you make people prefer this product than the branded ones? Okay, actually there is another question. How can your this is for Felsha, how can your project face the challenges of the fast-paced fashion market and consumers always want quality goods at low prices? Felsha? Okay, Felsha, can you please answer the question?
Mm,
Okay, I think Flasha is unable to answer the question. So actually this comes to the end of our first session, the art section. Thank you all audience for coming to see our personal project exhibition in the art section. There actually will be another personal project exhibition with a topic surrounding social and mental health in a different link at 10:30. We will see you again after this short break. Thank you.
Disinilah tempat ayah ibu percaya takkan ada